I found you by the side of the road, in the middle of nowhere. Was there an accident?
So one of the announcements I'm most excited about here at this year's E3, being a big fan of both Heavy Rain and Fahrenheit, is Beyond Two Souls, the new game from Quantic Dream. So I'm caught up with Ray here, who's the external producer on the title. Could you just first set the stage of what it was that we saw at the press conference and what the game is all about?
So Beyond is the story of Jodie Holmes and her connection with a mysterious entity, and sort of the story that comes out of that connection, where her life leads because of it. What you saw at the press conference was the opening prologue to the game, and then a snippet of the action sequences from what we're showing behind closed doors at the show. So there are the two sort of sections to that scene that you would have watched yesterday. Very sort of the slower, more tension-building prologue, and then the action, which is our big differentiator this time around from Heavy Rain. So you might remember Heavy Rain was quite somber in places. It was slowly building characters, slowly building empathy with the characters and their relationships. This time we have all of that sort of magic, but at the same time we have kind of Michael Bay style action, over the top, amazing stuff that's going on, and the two feed into each other, and that's really what makes Beyond a bit more different to last time around.
Because I think both Fahrenheit and Heavy Rain had emphasis on several characters, that sort of the story was told through their perspectives. Is that different with this game?
So this time the story is primarily, well, entirely focused on Jodie Holmes, but Jodie and the entity, they aren't the same person. The entity is not an extension of her powers. It's not like she's, a superhero. They are two separate characters, and you do play as the two throughout the game. You switch between the two. So it's not like Heavy Rain, where there were four main characters, and if one dies, the story continues without them. This time it's all about Jodie and her life, and it's much more contained that way. But again, her life can vary in so many different ways. By the end of the game, your Jodie will be very different to my Jodie, for example. So that's kind of how we're doing things this time around.
So, do we know anything why she's connected with this entity? Was that one of the things that you're exploring in the game?
So that's the primary mystery of the game. Obviously, there's only so much that we're revealing at the moment, but that's kind of what drives the entire story, sort of why she's connected to it, what the connection is, and what other people can sort of take from that, what she can take from that, how she grows because of it.
So obviously you've casted Ellen Page as the main character of the game. I think, you should correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the sort of the emphasis of Quantic Dream before has been sort of on a digital actor who's perhaps not as well known as her, and people, this feels like very much it's her performance that you're in the game. Would you agree that that's a slight change, or?
Well, I think it's an aspirational thing. Before, there's only so much that you can achieve when you're still growing. You're still saying we're doing this radically different style of game. We want people to believe in us, but at the same time, it's hard to just make that leap. So you kind of have to grow. You have to start with the digital actors and start, at a different sort of scale, and then grow up from there. So, but at the same time, Quantic's one of their earlier games, Nomad Soul, had David Bowie in it. So, they've always been interested in doing that. And of course, with our Hollywood technology, we now want to get Hollywood talent as well. So it's the natural step forward, I think.
Is there any reason to expect that the cast will be expanded with more famous actors, or is this really the story just where you focus on one character like that, or will there be other surprises further on?
Well, we're not announcing any other actors today, but there will be, we have a good cast, and we're proud of our cast, and we're very excited to share it, but all in good time. You will hear more soon.
So one thing, you talked about the slumbering pace of Heavy Rain. I really enjoyed Heavy Rain. I thought it was one of the best experiences this generation for me. And but one thing that people are sometimes a little bit allergic to is quick time events. So what's the approach been with this one, and do you want to bring it away a little bit from that when the action sequences, or what's the approach there?
So this time around, we've got more sort of direct control of Jodie. We still have these quick time events, or we call them MPARs. They still exist and they're still used in a similar fashion, except this time around you have more control over Jodie's movements as well. So for example, in the demo that we're showing behind closed doors, Jodie is a part where Jodie's running down a train carriage. So with the left stick, you'll make her move. You're actually pushing her like in a traditional third-person action game. But at the same time, you've got those quick-time events happening as well. So you need to dodge like a satchel on the floor or something. So whilst moving with the left stick, you've got to jump with the right stick or dodge to the left or the right, that kind of thing. So it's more control that way, more direct control. So in that case, in that example as well, like if you were to stop, not stop moving her, she'll actually turn around and stop, and the camera will still move the way that it does. It'll still be directed, it'll still be movie-like, but she'll no longer be moving. So what will happen in that case is you get captured by the police, and then the scene will change. So instead of you escaping, you get arrested, and suddenly it's a completely different scene. So there's that one side to it. On the other side as well, when you're controlling Aiden, the entity, that's entirely directly controlled. All these things are still work in progress, so they're still to be refined. But that is entirely directly controlled. You are moving the 6-axis around to control the entity floating through space, and all the interactions that Aiden can do are all directly controlled by you, and those are not QuickTime at all. So we've got the Heavy Rain system in there. It's then grown, and then there's another system entirely stuck on top for the other characters.
So I remember playing Heavy Rain, and when I played it, and I played it through, I felt like that was my story, and I didn't want to play it again because I'd played it in a certain way. And some people like the fact that you can play it through multiple endings and sort of play it through several times. Yeah, exactly. What's the approach here? Is it one journey, or do you sort of see players taking several journeys, or what's?
Well, so the actual implementation is still to be decided, whether we'll do the same thing we did last time, where we let you play through the scenes again. We probably will do that because we like to give players value from the game. We know that people spend a lot of money on our games, so if there's an opportunity to get more out of it, absolutely want to give them that opportunity. But it is going to be another one of those story games where you have a story, I have a story. They'll be different. They'll have the same threads, but we'll have, like I said before, we'll have different Jodies, we'll have different journeys, and it's similar to Heavy Rain in that way, absolutely.
And I was a little bit surprised that it's coming out already as soon as early next year, because Quantic Dream games are kind of games that you have to wait for a little bit. So where are you at in development right now, and sort of how confident are you that you will be able to get it out in time?
Oh, we're absolutely going to be first quarter of next year. The game itself is still pre-alpha, so still got quite a lot of work to do. But the scenes that you've seen publicly, they are quite close to final. I would say 85% final in terms of the visual fidelity. So you can see where we're going with it. Obviously there will be tweaks. We need to do a lot of work still. There's quite a lot to do. But yeah, I think we're very confident of getting it out on time, and that's absolutely where we intend to release it.
Right. Thank you very much for your time.
No worries.
Tell them to leave me the fuck alone, because next time, I'll kill everyone. Come on, Aiden. I think they get the message.